Yeah, so why don't we just go down the line here and introduce yourselves and talk about what film you work on. Wow, there's a pocket dial if I ever knew one. Wow.
That's awesome, though.
I called Star Wars.
Timothy Paul McGraw again, Nash Carruthers, the badass killer.
Michael Pereira, the writer-director of Deathbox.
Matt Hoffman, the producer of Marty.
Sheila Cordy, or Beth Wilkins from Marty.
Kat Throghold from Siren, director, writer, producer.
John Hyatt, I made Return, the last one you saw, writer-director.
I'm Bruce Wingler, I shot Return. I'm Mike Donis, I was in Return.
And I was his wife in Return.
Congratulations, everyone. I just want to point out we have a couple of returning alumni this year. This is actually Mike's third film. Third time in short film. and Resurrection of Clarence Neveldine. And which you were in, I think you were in all three, wow. Yeah, and John returns along with Bruce Harper. They worked on Woods that was here last year in the short film. So returning faces and some new faces as well. So let's just go through each of the films and just talk about the how this inception with Deadbox is actually it kind of stemmed from something from another festival or from what I've heard.
Yeah, it's based on a bumper I did for Toronto After Dark in 2014. We had such a good time with doing it. We loved the character so much that like in 2 hours I wrote the script. We shot it in a day, and that's it. Yeah, it's like a month later after that.
Yeah, and you would talk about Marty and how that.
Well, Marty's an interesting story. Greg, the director and writer, who couldn't be with us tonight because he's working on another film, wasn't looking to make a horror film. He was looking to make a film, and we watched a documentary called Salesman by David and Albert Mazos, and he said, wouldn't it be interesting if one of these salesmen killed people? And here it is.
Sorry, what are we talking about?
I'm just going to the inception of the project.
How it came about. For me with Siren, I was having a conversation with my boyfriend. He was working on a zombie flick at the time, and I'm a huge mermaid lover. So I thought, why don't we just combine the two and have a woman who's infected, and turns into this disgusting, sort of deep sea creature type of character.
Return's kind of a throwback to Invasion of the Body Snatchers from the 70s and like Polanski's The Tenant and things like that, but it also has these elements of, society nowadays where I guess the government and many other things are telling you not to trust your neighbor and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot kind of in there that made up the story. And we also work with these great guys out of Kitchener called the 12 Angry Filmmakers. Duncan specifically, and the scene in Kitchener is crazy right now. Like they're making tons of films and doing great work. So if it wasn't for those guys, we probably wouldn't have been able to make it. You worked on the movie, so you went through.
No.
Let's open up to questions from the audience. Yeah.
For Siren, was that a Mertailor tale?
Yeah, it
Sweet.
was. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, I honestly, I had a bit of a trouble deciding because there's a couple companies, but I settled on Mertailor. There was somebody else who I loved their tales as well, and they didn't respond. I can't remember now what the name was. It was so long ago, but it's funny because I didn't even know people made these things, let alone like a real silicone, able to swim in water kind of mermaid tail. So
Yeah, was that a custom job or just like...
Yeah, it was. I mean, partially. So usually, I guess some people might not get a custom job, but they have these options sort of that you can get, a fin where you want, sort of here, wherever you want, and then on top of it you can get the colors and the designs that you like. And originally I actually wanted a red, red and black, but then I don't know, I went with the sort of shark kind of look.
It was subtle and good. I liked it.
Thanks a lot.
John, could you elaborate a bit more on the 12 Angry Filmmakers? Because we've seen a lot of those a lot of those films come up, like Charlie and Dead Air, just play Toronto After Dark.
Yeah.
Just kind of talk about that and that whole scene and how you got involved with that.
We'd made Woods, and then we were at Dasmo Camera event, and Dasmo Camera, rents out a lot of big camera gear. And I met up with Duncan there, and he really liked Woods, and he wanted me to get involved, and I'm like, well, I don't live in Kitchener. So that's kind of weird, like, how am I gonna work with you guys? And they're like, well, you can be the Toronto arm of the 12 Angry Filmmaker. So I was like, okay, then we started working with them, and since we had, Bruce does a lot of work with the guys out of Kitchener, and it's just this massive scene of great filmmakers coming out of Kitchener right now. I mean, we all live in Toronto, but we're every time we talk about making a film now, we're like, let's go shoot in Kitchener. Because they have these, it's cheaper, you get the tax credit, and they're really, they got great crews, they got great actors, and really good ideas. There's another filmmaker named Torin out of there as well, who I'm producing a film with right now, and he's fantastic. And he's like 22, and he's just like this prodigy.
If you saw the showcase last
You saw this, yeah, just fantastic filmmaker, visually stunning in his films. But yeah, it's great. And Bruce does a lot of work with it.
I do a lot of work with them. Go to Kitchener a lot. I guess that's mostly what I can say. We made this film as part of I think they made 7 films in 2 weeks, and they had sponsorship from Dasmo and from White's and from, I think, Technicolor, and we just banged out a bunch of movies on the same camera and the same jerk of lights and things like that, and it was great. I think we did 3 days or something, and on to the next movie.
So it's just like pooling resources, basically, and you
Yeah.
just kind of go from the next project.
Still 17-hour days.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a drink, right?
Let me ask.
Question here, question here.
You asked the actors from Return, did you dig deep down into personal experience to build these characters?
I actually wasn't born as Mike Donis. It was 2 years ago. It was really interesting. No, I mean, you may have more to say, because I kind of got switched halfway through, and then I became just early, like, I messed up guy, and I was kind of just doing whatever the script said. But you had, I don't know.
I had some really weird nightmares after we shot. Like, it was really, really not fun for a day or two. But it was my first time doing a film, so it was interesting just going through the screaming and crying over and over again. But that was, yeah, you take from something in the street I was here. She was just amazing because she would do that.
Were she? Straight
Yeah.
up?
Yeah. Because honestly, I will say one thing from an actor's perspective. It's in that first scene where I'm on the lawn and she comes over and she kind of like glides, or scary as fuck. I didn't even know it. Like, seriously, that was just like so terrifying that it from that standpoint, she was just so. I met her
She's right there.
on the shoot, and that we shot that pretty quick into meeting. So before I actually got to know that she's a wonderful human being, I was genuinely a little terrified by her, because that was the extent of my knowledge of who she was.
What was the question? Sorry for giving you nightmares.
No, not you.
What kind of emotional homework did you have to do to play the role?
Well, that was very enjoyable to research that kind of role, to play a villain. It's a special opportunity, I find. So, yes, there was a lot, certainly within us. We all have different degrees of that, so I really enjoyed bringing that out, what I have.
You did it well. You did it well.
Oh, thank you.
You and then you.
Question for Kat Jokel. First off, the scene where the mermaid's like right at the top of the stairs was absolutely terrifying. I will have nightmares for that phase. For a mermaid film, you filmed a lot of it outside of the water and on dry land. What kind of decision was that?
Budgetary. and then later I was like, no, she has to be in the water. Like, this is a mermaid, come on. So then I think it was like a year later, we filmed the trailer, and that was in a pool, and I was like, it has to be all underwater. Like, I can't, this is just, we didn't see enough of the tail, especially at the end, and that was also just, it was very heavy, it was very hard to move in. It was easy to tear out of water. And originally we wanted to have her to come out of the bathtub sort of with a whole bunch of water and soaking wet and water going down the stairs, but we were renting the place and the floors weren't finished. Like they weren't finished at all, they weren't normal floors, so we had to be really, really careful. Like actually like holes, like not holes, but like the floorboards weren't like completely together, so it would like go through, like damage the place. So yeah, budgetary.
Robert?
Well, I missed the early films, so I can't comment on yours. Sorry, I got here late. But I just noticed similarity in themes with the nature of identity and shifting identities, and I find that very interesting. The mermaid particularly, when she's leaving, I wanted her to leave, but you have her come back, and then there's kind of an introduction.
Leaving at which point?
Yeah, well, she's about to escape, and then she returns and then is consumed. But you had a siren element there as well. So it was just interesting because it's two women, it's not a man and a woman, it's two women, and how the attraction between two women based on an intense kind of, like the sirens from the gods, in the island. He has to tie himself up. But in your case, it's very interesting because it's, you never hear of a woman being attracted to a siren, and that's what I read from it. So I found that kind of fascinating.
Thanks.
And I found the shifts of identity here very, I don't know, I'd say it's a great theme to travel in. So that's all. It's just a comment, not really.
There's a mythology of a siren. I'm trying to remember the exact name of it. But these types of sirens are usually people who commit suicide, women who commit suicide, and they end up in these foresty swamp areas, and they lure both men and women equally to their death. So I kind of drew a little bit from that, but really there's the reason why I used I'm not sure. It was a while ago that I was reading, but also that I chose the two women because this was really about how women attack each other and they really don't support each other when they really should be. And I found it very interesting to have this beautiful, lovely best friend relationship just completely spiral down into this death scene.
We have time for one more. Jason?
Yeah, just looking at the similarities, I think two stories have the filmmakers up there deal with characters that are on kind of a mission or a mission, and then the other two are dealing with transformation. So any of the filmmakers, are you giving any thought to expanding these into features for continuing stories?
No, I'm not really thinking about expanding it. We're trying to work on another feature for next year. I really like the theme of that, and it's weird for me. Like even with woods and stuff, we're like maybe we should make it longer. And it's I think it's nice to make a film, just kind of leave it. I think sometimes, But I mean, there are some films that have done very well with that. But, and you guys down here?
Right now, no. There was a backstory to Marty that was discussed, so if Greg decided to make it into a feature, there is material there, but right now it's just a short.
But he's still on the road.
Yes, Marty's still out there, so don't let anybody into your home.
With the National, we've talked about it, but it won't be next. I'm doing a psychological drama take on slasher films first. That's a feature, but who knows, maybe down the road, we'll see.
Okay, so we have to wrap it up. Thank everyone for coming tonight. This is fantastic.